Hey guys, it's Echo. Writing is hard. When you're trying to tell a story, you have to somehow figure out a way to make characters, maybe even an entire world, and use them to weave a narrative interesting and convincing enough to carry across to your readers whatever idea it is you're wanting to share. Whether your message is as heavy and serious as approaching racism, religious trauma, and the dangers of fascism, or as quiet as the power of a single well-placed cup of tea, your story has to be well made if you want anyone to maintain any kind of interest in it. And you must be thinking, that must take a lot of planning, right? Well, it's kind of complicated. Depending on where you go for your writing advice, you'll see kind of two main camps of people. The people called planners, who like to have everything figured out before they even start, and then the pantsers, the people who like to fly sort of by the seat of their pants, as the saying goes. People on both sides will aggressively defend the preferred method, and the reasons all sound really good. So then, if both sound good, which is better? Again, it's complicated, but let's take a look at them and see what we think. But before we dive in, what am I drawing? In the story I'm working on making into a comic, Covaria, there are creatures called void beasts who roam the world attacking anyone they come across on sight. They're vicious and notoriously hard to kill, and no one knows why they started to appear. All anyone knows is they started to shamble out of the forest that holds the void itself, and they are hungry. This is a print that I'll be selling once I get some stuff in order, so keep your eyes peeled for that if you're interested. Let's start our analysis by looking at planning. Planning means a lot of pre-writing work. You, as the author, sit down and figure out exactly what you want the story to look like. You write out an outline for you to follow, which can go as detailed as you prefer, but will generally include the major beats you want in every moment, which characters you want to be active at what points in the story, and how your themes will carry through the story. You know, the ending before you even start writing the first chapter. Foreshadowing is easy, and there are very few decisions you have to actually make while you're making the story. You've figured out exactly what you want your characters to be, and you're prepared to wrestle them into the holes you have carved out for them. Generally, the stories written this way end up very well structured and carved out on the first draft, which can make the editing phase easier. That sounds amazing, doesn't it? Case closed. Planning is easier. Everything's structured and ready to go. Well, not necessarily. The fun part of writing is the creative process. It's exploring your characters and how they interact, digging into yourself and your imagination for what you want the storyline to be, and letting the themes you're exploring really speak to you in a way they will never be able to speak to anyone else. If you do all of that at the very beginning, you don't get to do it anymore. You write a detailed outline, remove all of your questions, and suddenly you have months or even years left to just sit and write, with nothing deviating, nothing new to explore. Just you and your storytelling medium of choice, picking away at the mundane portions. For some people, that sounds like heaven. They love digging into their medium and not having to think about their characters or story or any of that other stuff, so planning it out beforehand is a dream. For most of us, myself included, that is more of a suffocating reality. After months of sitting with nothing really changing, it's easy to feel disconnected from your characters and your world, and motivation stagnates. Projects end up in the project graveyard, festering among the piles of other unfinished projects. Okay then, what about pantsing? Well, let's look at it. Pantsing is the other end of the spectrum. There is minimal planning. You find your characters, figure out some kind of adventure you want them to go on, and you send them on it. Characters crop up organically as the story continues, themes rise as you and your characters wrestle with them in live time, and creativity flows. Where planning sees the author controlling the narrative, pantsing has the author sort of hanging on tightly and seeing where the river takes them, hoping they don't fall off along the way. Okay, so there's the creative flow we were missing for planning. What's the problem then? Pantsing tends to lead to a lot of plot holes. When you're making the story up as you go, it's a lot harder to keep track of all the details you're putting out to make sure the world and story feel cohesive all the way through. The pacing also gets a lot harder. What might feel interesting because of high-octane, fast-paced nature of the scenes you're putting your character through can end up feeling overwhelming when read all together, like the reader has just no time to breathe. The opposite can happen too. You can get so focused on exploring the characters existing with each other, you forget to move the plot forward for a very long time. And with all of that, in my experience, the biggest risk pantsing presents is the story ballooning way beyond the scope of the project. An interesting idea involving one of the side characters can turn the side character into another main character, and before you know it, you have 15 main characters. Or maybe the little detail that wasn't originally that important turns into a deeply interconnected magic system that takes 15 pages to explain what the project was supposed to be a 30-page comic. All of this can be fixed in editing, but the more plot holes, pacing issues, and overall chaos that happens, the harder the editing becomes, and editing is already an arduous and time-consuming process. Okay, so what now? Planning makes the writing process smooth and easy to handle, but takes out a lot of the creativity, while pantsing puts that creativity back in return for a level of chaos that quickly can get out of hand. What's the answer? Which is better? That's up to you. I know. Why are we talking about this if I'm just going to tell you, decide for yourself? You thought this was supposed to be a video about which was better, right? But writing is a deeply personal process. No two people are going to have the same process. And it's for that exact reason that I think we're asking the wrong question. I don't think we should be approaching the concept of storytelling as either yes, all planning and no pantsing, or no, skip planning, go for pantsing. Instead, we should view it as a spectrum, a sort of customization board where we can decide what degree of what we want. I'll share my process as an example, but it is just that, an example. I definitely encourage you to try out different types of planning and different levels of pantsing for yourself. My method might be close to what you like, or it might be completely different, and both are great. But know that it's very rare to have your ideal be truly on one side of the debate or the other. For my process, I like to start by writing out a list of all of the ideas I have. Usually, when I'm trying to start a story, I have a vague sense of some characters or a kind of vague vibe I want. Maybe I have a super clear mental image of some specific character interaction and nothing else, or a song that just feels like there's a character resting inside it somewhere. Regardless, I put it all together in a mood board. Anything that feels like it belongs to the story goes in, and that's my inspiration board. With the inspiration board open, I start to decide what kind of story I want to tell. What's the setting? What are the themes? Is there a specific genre I'm aiming for, or is it more of a conglomeration of story traits that I want to smash together? Here, I refine the inspiration mood board into a mood board designed specifically for the story, one that will guide the rest of my work. When that is done, I decide on both the story and characters in tandem. When I make characters, I try to give them purpose in the story, or I'd be liable to have 30-odd characters stuffed into a story just because I like them. But at this phase, I don't really know what I want the story to be, so I start with one or two characters and decide what I want their personal stories to be in relation to the themes, settings, and other details I decided on in the mood board. Without fail, one character breeds more until eventually I have a nice interconnected web of characters that create a vague story, though at this phase, it's not super focused. Then I get to do my final bit of planning before I get to the pantsing. Taking that vague storyline, I plan out a very open-ended outline. This outline is meant to make sure that I stay on task and on pace, and make sure that my stories don't expand beyond my control, but they're vague enough that I have plenty of decision-making power left when it comes time for it. Usually, I'll split it into sort of parts. Rather than chapter by chapter planning the events, I'll put in a beginning, middle, and end. Most of us have heard that one storytelling layout that looks kind of like opening into rising action, into climax, into falling action, into ending setup, but I like to look for other ones that kind of break the mold. One of my current favorites looks like beginning, into introducing the problem, into looking for a solution, into a complication for the solution, into a new attempt at the solution, into succeeding, into ending. You can even choose to add some more complications in there. Maybe there's a failure after the complication to the solution, or a few extra complications get piled in. It's flexible, and that's why I like it. Using one of those, I plan out the bones of the story, and once that's done, I write down the themes I want to follow, to keep myself on task. And then I'm done. The rest of what I do is all pantsing, writing down random scenes as I think of them so that I can put them in the story as needed, or having random strikes of inspiration pull me off towards new ideas and directions, though I make sure to at least loosely follow the outline. Like I said, I definitely encourage you to explore what kind of mix you like for yourself. Maybe you really like to plan everything out, sinking your teeth into world building and perfecting the details before you start on the character interactions a little more loosely. Maybe you like to have your themes and storyline meticulously planned out, you just have no idea who actually is going to be fulfilling what role. It doesn't matter at all. Just have fun with it, and as long as you're enjoying the process, know that what you have decided on is the best version of planning versus pantsing. And those are my thoughts on the planning versus pantsing debate. To be honest, it definitely feels like one of those debates people have more because they forget that everyone's experiences are different, so surely the person saying they like it different than them is lying. Well, at least there's lots of resources we can get about writing because of the debate. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, consider subscribing. I'll be doing more videos where I explore topics and share my thoughts on them in the future. I'll catch you in the next video.